Pahlavi text translated by E.W. West, Part 4. Contents of the Nasks, Clarendon, Oxford University Press, 1892. Dinkard, Book 9, Chapter 31, 1. The 8th Vargard, Ta Ve Vata, is about advice as to reciting the revelation, the information therefrom for the faithful, about which they have to report to the unfaithful by mentioning conspicuous specimens and explanatory knowledge, and by thinking of anything whatever which they have to accept, or even which they have not to accept. Also, for one called to the religion, the advantage owing to the attraction of mankind to the numerous actual disciplehood of the religion, and the increasing greatness materially and further reward spiritually owing to the numerous disciplehood and the progress of the religion of Ahura even among the irreligious, adenoan, and actual apostates. 2. This too, that the life of the creatures of Ahura and also all other benefit are owing to Ahura, and the inclination come barikako of Ahura thereto. Moreover, reward and recompense come from Ahura. 3. And the creatures of Aharman proceed from Aharman. All misery is owing to Aharman, and Aharman becomes worse and more oppressive, and a further producer of misery when they worship him. 4. About the continuance and arranging of both spirits as to their own creations, and the self-acting of their own appliances, the achievement of each one through his own natural resources, and through the trifling gadaganic operation of the other, the spiritual lordship and priestly authority, true confession, and the progress of the good religion being from Ahura, and through enmity to the creatures of Ahura, Aharman is contesting these. 5. Ahura, for setting aside that contester, is the producer of true intelligence, and gave language, and also the ritual of ordeal, the invocation of the sacred beings for assistance, and the arrival of an angel for the assistance of the invokers, the overcoming of their affliction, the production of their immunity and even righteousness, and also of the good ruler who is a reminder of Ahura, and the restoration of bodies, which is the hope of all good creations, are through the sacred beings being invoked for assistance, and their arrival where the diffusion is that of virtuous knowledge through Bahuman, the good religion, which is whatever may be the knowledge of all those who are and were and will be. 6. About the shouting of the demon Aresh to Zarathustra, and the reply of Zarathustra as to the advance of Ahura, and whatever is on the same subject, just as Revelation Deno states it, that the demon Aresh spoke to him thus. Then the phronimon O Zarathustra is applicable to the assembly of demons who sit in the same place 3 nights and 4 days on account of thee. 7. Zarathustra inquired of him thus, O Aresh, thou most deceitful to me, what recompense would there be for it to me, if I should worship you in words? 8. And Aresh, the most deceitful of demons, spoke to him thus, thou wouldst become predominant among mankind through producing at will among the existences, just as it is requisite for thyself, and thou wouldst become immortal, O Spitamon. 9. Zarathustra also inquired of him thus, O Aresh, most deceitful of demons, as to the people by whom you are worshipped, whatever for the birth of a son, or even for a concubine sought for enjoyment, so that the favor is considered by them as your property. How can any one of them be immortal? 10. And Aresh, the most deceitful of demons, could not tell him who had the more intelligence. 11. So Zarathustra spoke thus, I am for that being, and I like him, that is, I am his own, and would transact his affairs, and I will recite the law and the benedictions of the sagacious Ahurmazd, the gratifier of desires. 12. About the deliverance of all creatures through the liturgy, and so long as it is continued by them, it is for the power through which the immortality of the separate creations is prepared in the renovation of the universe, the increase of the good creatures through the complete continuance of the liturgy, and the existence of purity and development of goodness in the world when he who is a good ruler arrives. 13. The arising of the spiritual creation, the first thought of Ahurmazd, and as to the creatures of Ahurmazd, first the spiritual achievement, and then the material formation, and the mingling of spirit with matter, the advancement of the creatures thereby, through his wisdom, and the righteousness of Vahuman being lodged in the creatures, and all good creatures being goaded, Zakami Hastano, thereby into purity and joyfulness. 14. This too, that a complete understanding of things arises through Vahuman, having made a home in one's reason. Barome. 15. About the great reward of him who shall produce benefit for cattle. Also, the deceitfully and seductively assuming of religion and coloring of thought, talking of righteousness and adopting evil practices through the recitation of righteousness, even hypocritically. Devansihak, and an instance of the reward of an undutiful Avar Zidar apostate. 16. About the work of the Creator, and for the completion thereof, the most eminent is understood to be when the world and religion were formed by him, when life was given by him to those possessing bodies, and he provides instruction and employment for it, and when spiritual life, Huko, was given by him to the wishful man, so that he may more fully appropriate a share of the worldly and spiritual existences. 17. He who makes complete mindfulness lodge in his body, consults complete mindfulness, and through the much investigation of his spiritual life, Ahvo, the mind, into the attraction of both spirits, that which is good and also that which is evil, each separately for its own appliances, and into the duties of religion, of the religion of Ahurmazd, is explaining the inefficiency of mankind as regards the dissipation of their sin, because Ahurmazd is aware of all they practice, that which is public and that too which is concealed. 18. The great reward of him who is liberal of gifts, Dasar, from his own property to a righteous man, and this too, that whoever gives him who is wicked a gift for the sake of improper expectations assists darkness and not light. 19. This too, that is the worst ruler, is he of evil religion and evil deeds, who even for a bribe would not occasion happiness, he who is a destroyer of an innocent man, also the grievous state of punishment of that person in hell who shall make that wicked one a ruler. 20. And advice to mankind as to providing a judgment and guardian over every dwelling, the probation of a man for appointment to that important duty, and the development of all creations in the world when its ruler is sagacious. 21. Also causing the disturbance, va siklenidano, of the evil spirit for satisfying a man who is rightly thinking, rightly speaking, and rightly acting, the opposition to a righteous man of a wicked one belonging to the evil spirit who is an evil reciting and improperly disputing apostate, the incitement, lucinidano, of mankind to devious ways, avariha, by an apostate, being more than that which attracts the true way for a righteous man, and afterwards also, in the end, the defeat of the army of the fiend by him who is beneficial to mankind. 22. Advice to mankind about abstaining from the suit of him who is an apostate, not hearing and not solemnizing the Avesta and Zond of the sacred beings from him. Also the evil behavior, dus, barisni, slander, strife, death, and fear in the world owing to apostates. 23. Advice to upholders of the religion about the means of thoroughly understanding apostates and preparing and keeping a weapon for them, so that he who is authorized and fearless may be more eager for truthful speaking, and when the religion of Auharmazd is liked by him, his truthful speaking and other righteousness have then allured. Ka Makinido. 24. Also what happens in the 3 nights, or the assistance and preservation of the righteous, through what is accomplished by the propitious fire, and the progress of his lamentation, who deceives and vexes a righteous man, and is leading the wicked by their own befitting deeds to hell. 25. This too, that the complete worthiness which exists in Khordad and Amurdad arises in him who maintains the prerogative which is his through virtuousness, who must become such a friend of whatever is his own spirit through his actions, as the Creator is of his own creatures. 26. This too, that whatever is thus in the world is perfect, when every one thinks, speaks, and shall act just like his spiritual Lord and High Priest, so that a good ruler is he with whom virtuous speaking arises, as well as proper action. 27. And this too, that the lodgment of Auharmazd in the worldly existence is most in the person of that ruler, and that lodgment in him is manifest. 28. The excellence of righteousness is perfect. And the reference into verse 24 about the 3 nights, they mean, following the death. And, how you're asked about your good thought and your good word and your good deed and, your religion as a whole. And Islam also agrees that you're asked about, what goes on after your death is your deeds and your legacy and your memory and all that. Those who are, those who were, and those that will be. As I say in my own way, I swear.